Alright, as you can see, this is the Longhorn steer. We're probably going to do this in two parts and then splice the video together because the kids just don't eat that much steak. But we're going to try the Longhorn first, see how we like it. And then the next time I eat a ribeye, we're going to do the red steer, which was some kind of dairy influence. We're not 100% sure what it was. Jersey or something of the likes. But if you have not been able to find a video of what a ribeye looks like out of a Longhorn, I hope you find this interesting, because when I tried to look it up, all I found was like actual videos about Longhorn Steakhouse. The search algorithm did not favor me very good there. So that is what a Longhorn looks like that's been on grain for, we'll say 100 days, give or take. Or maybe give another 10 or 12 days there. Somewhere at 100 days or just over. But anyways, I'm going to get this thawed out and we're going to cook it outside on the grill. Alright, so I'm going to cook both the red steer, dairy steer, and the Longhorn as close as possible to the same. I've got them inside, seasoned up right now, salt, pepper, garlic, and I'm going to start my offset smoker over here, and we're going to try to cook both of them as close to the same as possible so we can get that good comparison on them. So I'm going to be using a lump charcoal. I love using the lump charcoal over the briquettes. You get a pretty good amount in this offset smoker, and it's nice and warm. All right, so we're gonna give that, man, there's no wind out here. Of course, it's windy when I want to do everything else, but not when I need it to feed my smoker. Really helps if you got a good wind. I need to get a little fan out here and set it up. But I'm gonna let this thing cook down, and we're gonna get those Longhorn steaks on here. I'm gonna shut this, let some of the old gunk cook off of it. Once that grill's hot, we're gonna get them babies thrown on there. All right, guys. As you can see, let me turn on this flash so you can get a better look. As you can see, there is definitely some marbling within that steak. Those are Longhorn steaks, guys. I was told 100 times by any research or anybody who wanted to comment on this matter that these would be too lean. I'm not thinking that's too lean. So I've got a little salt, pepper, garlic mixed up in this container. That's all it is, guys. Salt, pepper, and garlic in this Redmond's container. And I'm gonna season these things. Let me turn the holes a little bit bigger. Alright, got that salt, pepper, and garlic. Oh, perfect. Look at that. That's all we need. I'm going to season these up just like this. Get them thrown on that hot grill. Try to get a good sear on them. I'm going to let them soak in this salt and seasoning for a good while. Alright, guys, I got a good oak round put in there. Got my Longhorn steaks over here. I got Dale, 9 Acre Family Farms, on live chat over here, just checking out what they have to say. But one thing I would say about this Longhorn is that I'd say it's got plenty of fat in there, as you can see, but it is a little darker meat. It's a little bit darker meat. So we've got that grill cranking pretty good, 300 degrees or so. That grate's going to be nice and hot for a good sear. I'm going to get this puppy open and get it thrown in there. So that's the Longhorn, guys. The dairy, I will give you a little hint before we cook it. It has even more marbling in it. Let's get this thrown. Let's get it thrown right here. Oop, can't see. Let me. Not available while using wide lens. Okay, hang on. There we go. Let me get this other one thrown on there. I guess while I'm zoomed out, I cannot use my... So, there we are. Longhorn ribeyes on the grill. Don't let anybody tell you can't put fat on a Longhorn, guys. We're going to tell you how they taste. Alright, so let's see what it looks like. See if we're ready to flip them. A little bit of the smoke soot on there. I don't know if it's quite as crisp as I'd like. I'm going to give it just a little bit longer. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and flip these guys. You know what I like about pasture beef, not feedlot beef? When they've got, oh look at that, a little bit of steam coming up. It's kind of hard to see the color, but when they've got plenty of grass to browse, plenty of forage, like that giant ragweed down there, there's a nice buttery color to that fat. Yeah, they were fed grain, but the difference between a grass pasture and grain finished versus a grain finished feedlot beef is you're going to have a little color in that fat, and that color is flavor and nutrients. Alright, so we're actually running out of heat. As you can see, it's a little gray on the back. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you've ever done this, but don't be afraid to do this. Throw that sucker right on top of hot coals and it will sear it nicely. And trust me, I was a little worried when I first did this that I was going to get a bunch of charcoal and dust and stuff in my mouth, and it was not that way. It was not the case. It was actually one of the best sears I've ever had on a steak. So I'm going to finish this one and move it back up to here where it's just warm and not going to overcook it. And then I'm going to bring the other one down here and sear it. Probably roll that log to a fresh side and sear it. So I actually love, I have an oak stump and I've cooked on it, and I love doing it this way. Alright, so there's a little bit of coals on there, but trust me, they are not bad. What I'm going to do is just move it over there to where it stays warm. Get this other guy, as you can see, just a little gray. Oh, I didn't roll my meat. Sorry, I didn't roll this. I didn't roll the log. Make sure it's nice and hot. Oh yeah, nice. Woo, that's hot. And what we're going to do is the same thing. So it's going to ride right there. I'm just going to shut this lid for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then we're going to rest it and eat it. And as you can see, we got a beautiful thunderstorm brewing. Let's just hope we get a little bit out of it. Thank God we've had plenty of rain here on the homestead, and if this were to miss us, it's not that big of a deal, but we always like rain. Alright guys, I went ahead, put them both back on here because Shayla's going to want one cooked a little more than I do. So I went ahead and put one on here that had already been on to maybe finish it just a little more. Let me get these off without making a big mistake. I would cry if I were to lose these in the sand. Alright. Oh, I'm sorry for the bad camera angle. But, oh yeah. There we go. Okay, guys. Yeah, still a little gray on the side that was on the coals. But, we got a good sear on this side. So, let's take them inside and see what Shayla thinks about her Longhorn steak. So, I've never had a Longhorn steak, per se, that I know of. I mean, we could have been buying them at the store from time to time, but you'd never know. So, this is going to be my first Longhorn steak. I'm going to try it. I'm going to tear into the, I want to get to the center of the ribeye. So, there's the outside, and I love the outside, but I just want to go for the most tender part of a ribeye, right in the eye. And you can see it's pink. I don't know if you can pick up the color. It's not bloody, but it's pink. So, and I am a ketchup eater with my steak, but I like to taste every steak before I put ketchup on it. Tender.
Very tender.
Very, some of the most tender beef I think I've had. Kind of like those, like our Holstein tender. But still, the flavor is not quite as strong as the Holstein.
It's very smoky.
Well, did cook it on smoke. The flavor, the beef flavor is not quite as strong as the Holstein was.
15 times better than at the store.
But it's better than anything at the store. Now, this is the first part of our comparison. We got another comparison coming up. So, we're going to cook that red steer the same way, and then we're going to compare. Alright guys, and I'm not going to show the cooking process of this one because I don't want to wear you out. But what I do want to point out is that this is the red steer, not the Longhorn. And 8-air custom processing. Look at the packaging on this. Super good shrink or vacuum seal. That's the word I'm looking for. Super good vacuum seal packaging. And then next, what I want you to look at is the marbling. And when you look at that marbling, tell me that doesn't compete with some of the best steaks at the store. And like I said, both these are budget steers. This guy was dairy. We think could have had some Guernsey influence, but we're thinking mostly Jersey. Couldn't really say for sure what he was 100%, but it looked to be about as close to 100% dairy as you can get. So let's get this cooked and compare it. Here's that red steer out of the package. I'll tell you what, right off the bat, it's just a little less dark of a meat, but there is also a little bit more marbling. But relatively comparable, a little less marbling. Let's see how they taste. All right, so red steer. Shayla picked the steak that I wanted, but I'll let her pick that one because she always picks through the fat anyways, and I get what I want.
Take that one.
That's fine. I'm gonna put the steak juice on these things though. But anyways, this is the red steer. Levi, get in here and get a good look at this steak. I'm gonna flip it over to the non-juice stuff. So I actually did these on the pellet grill, slightly different. So there probably will be a little less smoke taste than on the offset smoker. But I didn't have the time to get it fired up this evening, so we're gonna try it off the pellet grill.
Taste it last time?
Did Rylan taste it last time, Levi?
I don't know.
Right, come here. Alright, Levi. Come look at this. It's a medium. It's a medium cook. Some people would say you overcooked it, but I can eat it less cooked. Shayla likes it about like this, or maybe even a little more cooked. But it's pink. There's a little red juice when you squeeze it. It's cooked almost the exact same as the other one, which is what I think is important. So let's try it. I would say it's better, but it's less smoky, and I think the smoke kind of overpowered the steak last time a little bit.
It's so hard to tell because there's not a comparison. I think this one has a little bit better flavor,
Rylan, you want to try a piece of steak?
but I think the other one was actually slightly more tender.
Yeah, I think the Longhorn was actually more tender, but she had slightly less fat, but it come out, I think, a little bit more tender. You want to try it? This is the red one. Is it good? Huxley, come here and try this.
This sure is.
Is it good? Alright, go watch your movie. So, Levi needs to try some since he's filming. They had pizza. I'm gonna give Levi a little piece here.
There's a lot of flavor, but I think this one, I didn't try the last one, but this one is very lean and
Lean?
it's very juicy.
Well, that was a good
and
lean
juicy.
piece.
Yeah.
It didn't have a bunch of gristle on it. Alright, well, what do you think, Shayla?
Pretty good.
Good?
Beats the store-bought.
Better than the last several steaks we tried to cook from the store. I'm glad to have a freezer full of it. There's not a huge difference between the Longhorn or the red steer. Honestly, if you were to randomly pull a steak out of the freezer and cook it, I would not be able to tell you that. I wouldn't be able to for sure say, oh, that's Longhorn or that's the red steer. But what I would say is they're budget steers. I mean, each one of them we paid around 80 cents a pound for them, and I was just watching an auction the other day, and the same type of budget cattle were going for $1.40 a pound. So we got a good deal. We got it in the freezer affordably, and it's very good beef. And if you're looking to get a budget animal, budget steer, meaning dairy, Coriani, Longhorn, I wouldn't be afraid to try it.
I think the Longhorn is gonna win for tenderness though, and we forgot to tell y'all we did try a burger, and the Longhorn beat.
The Longhorn did win in the hamburger.
Yeah, for sure. Even the kids, we blind tested them, and actually I blind tested. I was the only one that knew what the difference was, and everybody had picked. I think maybe Huxton picked the red steer over the Longhorn, but overall, everybody else picked the Longhorn, so I think overall...
Longhorn's not a bad option. If you can get you a Longhorn, it's not a bad option. Of course, it was grain finished.
You like the Longhorn better?
So, anyways, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe. I have another comparison video coming out in the future it'll be actually be the same animal, be Longhorn, but I'm going to compare. I'm going to cook a steak from our neighbor, and it was processed with a slightly different method. I'm going to cook it, and I'm going to tell you if I think it tastes any better than our Longhorn, or not as good as our Longhorn. So subscribe so you can see that video.
See you guys on the next one.